A lovely night in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Perfect for some USL Super League action as Fort Lauderdale United hosts Dallas Trinity FC. Tonight's match is presented by All Year Cooling and Plumbing. Hello, everyone. Alongside Haley Sutton, I'm Maura Sheridan. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Let's take a look at the standings in USL Super League, brought to you by Delta Airlines. Right now, Dallas can shoot to first with a win tonight. In third at the moment, Fort Lauderdale all the way down in 7th place. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Fort Lauderdale's struggling to score at the moment, so they want to change that tonight, Haley.
Yeah, assistant coach Allie Rogers told us in our coaches meeting this week it's been a big point of emphasis in the attacking third at practice as they were preparing for this game. Unfortunately for Fort Lauderdale as well, not only do they not score goals, but they concede them at a high rate as well too. So it's going to be a big focus tonight on getting those finishes in the final third.
Well, they know they can score. They also know that Addie McCain can score. She is a player to watch, brought to you by Baptist Health. She leads the league with 6 goals.
6 goals on the season. She's got a hat trick as well, so you know that she's capable, right? But she's been held scoreless for quite a few weeks, hasn't found the back of the net since October, so it'll be good for her, I should say, to find the back of the net. But for Dallas, you've got to be aware of her at all times. She's lethal with her finish.
Meanwhile, this Dallas team feeling confident after a 1-0 win against Carolina. It came down to this goal from Sam Meza.
And it was such a special goal. It really set the tone for Dallas Trinity's side. They were able to hold on possession, play a little bit more free as the game went on. And that's what you get when you get an early goal from Sam Meza like this. I loved how committed she was to finding the back of the net in this play, and ultimately it proved to be the game winner.
Well, interestingly, Dallas's leading scorer on the season, Allie Thornton, is going to be starting off the bench tonight.
Yeah, and with Allie Thornton, she's a capable player. You see it there. She can use her head. She can also score quickly when the ball is coming to her in space that way. And I think coming off the bench will be good for Dallas to have just that threat if things get a little dicey down the stretch. You always like to have that depth coming in.
Lineups and first kick on the other side between Dallas Trinity FC and Fort Lauderdale United, a USL Super League battle after this.
What does it mean to feel welcome? To not only be cared for, but to be cared about, to trust. At Baptist Health, this is the warmer side of care. So welcome to being treated with a human touch, where your best interest is our best interest. Here, we advance innovation and treatments through research while educating the next generation of experts close to home. Welcome to the warmer side of care. Welcome to Baptist Health.
New flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador, spiked bebidas.
Once the game kicks off, the hype doesn't matter anymore. Your follower count means nothing. Your resume is irrelevant. What matters is the moment, the game, the crest on the front of your jersey, the people you play for. Are you going to make history? Are you going to save the day? Are you going to score a hat trick, break some ankles, or give a kid the thrill of a lifetime? This is what the movement is all about. These moments that matter. The USL Super League.
Welcome back to Fort Lauderdale, gearing up for Fort Lauderdale United and Dallas Trinity FC here in USL Super League. Tonight's player walkout is presented by Amarant Bank. Take a look at the starting lineups. Tonight's starting lineups are presented by LaCroix Sparkling Water. This is the starting 11 for Fort Lauderdale.
Interesting that we'll be paying attention to today, a change in the goalkeeper position. We've seen Heather Hintz, the player on loan from the Houston Dash, in net. However, it's McKenna Gottschalk getting the start. She's been dealing with a foot injury, but Hintz is listed on the injury report as dealing with a hip injury. No backup goalkeeper on the roster for this one, Maura. Will be interesting to pay attention to in the game.
And here's a starting 11 for Dallas Trinity.
And we see here it's listed as a 4-3-3, but head coach Pauline McDonald told us she's shifted to a 3-5-2 and even sometimes 6 in the middle of the field. She likes to control possession, push things out wide, look for Ubagagu to really stretch the field, play those balls into the box, and have their forwards crash in looking for goal.
Well, the last time these two teams played, it ended in a 1-0 victory for Dallas. That was November 2nd. Pauline McDonald's team came out with a win at the Cotton Bowl, so looking for more of that tonight on the road against Fort Lauderdale United. This is a Dallas team that's actually unbeaten in the last 7 games. Meanwhile, for Fort Lauderdale, the last win was October 6th against Brooklyn. So no wins in the last 5 games for Tyrone Mears and his side.
Two teams going in very different directions as we approach the fall break, but both, I think, with a similar focus. Not only today do they want to get a win, that's obviously the goal anytime you play soccer, right? But it's all about building momentum. Dallas has had a lot of momentum over the last few weeks. Fort Lauderdale wants to have that momentum. So today's game will be interesting to see who jumps on that first.
Yeah, 3 games left before that break, so trying to set the tone here for both Fort Lauderdale and Dallas. There's Weinbrenner, who will head up that back line, that 3-back with some wing backs for Dallas. And Fort Lauderdale in blue kits tonight here at home, beyond Bankard Field at NSU. Elton Garcia is our center referee. Again, Haley Sutton, Maura Sheridan, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Gold kits on the road for Dallas. Fort Lauderdale's last game was a 1-0 loss to DC Power. Lost that game in stoppage time. And we are underway. Fort Lauderdale, Dallas, USL Super League. It's a lone game of the night. Played long here. Ubagagu gets a start for Hinson now. Strawn, top of the box, and blocked here by the Fort Lauderdale defense. Amber Brooks, the captain, will work it around to the wing now. Rachel Pace, and it looks like the lights went out for a second in the stadium.
Talk about an electric start. There we go.
Well, here's tonight's injury report presented by Baptist Health. Dallas, this has been the typical players that have been injured this season, but you mentioned Heather Hins not available tonight with a hip injury. She had started 2 games for Fort Lauderdale. Gottschalk had been injured herself with a foot injury. She's back. This is now her 3rd start in net for Fort Lauderdale.
Kind of a difficult position to be in for Fort Lauderdale, making a goalkeeper change at that point of the season against a Dallas team that's really been surging. And I mentioned it there in our lead-in, Maura, but no backup goalkeeper listed on the roster. You know, you hope you don't see any injuries coming from that position, but will be interesting to see what Coach Tyrone Mears does in the event that an injury does happen.
Dallas, Weinbrenner works it back to her keeper, Madison White, who's been consistent, but she falls there. 3 saves against Carolina for White in what was a shutout. 4 shutouts on the year, but off the takeaway, it's Hamid. Rips a shot, what a goal, Hamid! It's her 3rd of the year. And it's a monster shot. Fort Lauderdale up.
Well, assistant coach Allie Rogers told us in our pregame meeting this week that they had been focused on finishing. And when you are gifted an opportunity like this, it's just a poor pass from the Dallas defense. It's given to Hamid right on a platter. Look at the finish though, Maura. My goodness, the power, the knuckling of the pass. Again, Coach told us they wanted to focus on finishing. We saw Dallas get on the scoreboard early in their last game. Now it's Fort Lauderdale. Can they capitalize and continue the momentum? What a start from Tyrone Mears' side.
Well, this is the exact opposite of what has happened in the last couple of games for Fort Lauderdale. They've been struggling to score. In the last game against DC Power, they had an XG of 2 and didn't find the back of the net. Here, they just take care of business early And it's just, I'm sure, a change of mentality how they approach the rest of the game as opposed to that last DC game.
Well, and I talked about it again when it came to Dallas and how getting on the board early against Carolina, how it impacted their game. They were able to settle in. They were able to be a little bit more creative in their possession. They could take a few more risks. Now we're seeing Dallas. We talked about Sam Meza with the fastest goal in Super League history. This is clearly now the fastest goal in history. So it'll be interesting to see how Tyrone Mears' squad settles into the possession and maybe tries some more creative things in that attacking third.
Jasmine Hamid making history with that strike, and what a strike it was. And now Dallas in a precarious spot on the road. Off the cross, it's a heavy touch and out of play off of Hinson.
And you know Coach Pauline McDonald is going to be disappointed in conceding that early goal. She talked about how they've been really working on coming out on a hot start. She hasn't been satisfied up until they played that Carolina game. She said they hadn't been satisfied with the way they've been starting, and this start kind of mimics what she's seen in the past, but plenty of time for them to settle in. We know that this team likes to dominate the possession, so we'll see how both of these teams can really break through as the game goes on.
Hamid mentioned that's her third goal of the season. Off the touch, Hinson goes for a shot, and it's saved off the rebound. Gottschalk is there. No one there to collapse in for Dallas, so she'll settle. Sierra Hinson starting for Dallas today. She's often coming off the bench for this Trinity squad. That's some late game heroics, I should say, in a game against Lexington. Came in late, and a goal and assist for Hinson. What was a comeback victory for Dallas as a player is down for Trinity. Looks like it's Gracie Bryan in some pain.
Yeah, it looked like Hamid just kind of came through a 50-50 ball. And Hamid, her follow through there on the challenge, just a little bit harsh as they make contact. Hopefully nothing too serious though for Gracie Bryan.
Well, Bryan does have 2 goals this year. And that comeback against Lexington, it was Bryan with the game winner, as you saw the save from Gottschalk on the other side for Fort Lauderdale. Well, Bryan's up, able to walk off. It looks like she'll be able to continue. Off the drop ball, Amber Brooks. Brooks, the 33-year-old. Hardiman, 17, one of the Academy products, who plays for Dallas. There's Bryan, who stepped back on. Too strong off of Hinson.
And it'll be interesting when it comes to Sierra Hinson. She's one of those players in Pauline McDonald's sort of modified 3-5-2 where she likes to float back into the midfield. She likes the ball at her feet, and you saw it there even when she took that initial shot. It's just where she's most comfortable, but she's really good at distributing the play as well. So she likes to drop back in the midfield and sort of be the field general and turn things around going forward. So you'll see her sort of float deep as the game goes on.
McNeil on the throw. Hardiman slicing through. Bogagu played long. Hinson makes a run. Powers through the defense, looking to get around. It is boxed out there. Gottschalk has to make a save.
And I believe the referee called a foul on Hinson there. Just a little bit of physical play from both players, I thought, but a little much for our referee today. So we'll take another look here.
Yeah, perhaps it was that shove in the back against Gaynor. That was a call there from Elton Garcia. And it's played out here from Fort Lauderdale. Knox. Shania Gordon. Switching the point of attack, but no one on the end of that. The last time these two teams played too, again, it was November 2nd, and Fort Lauderdale had no shots on target in that game. So quite the turnaround for the team in general. This is an important stretch, I think, for Fort Lauderdale because they're home for this game and the next two games, so they can really go on a little run here to end this winter schedule.
And if you're Dallas, you mentioned it, they are one win away from going top of the table. I mean, for a team that's had to sort of battle through and finding their form midway through the season, that's a big task as they look ahead here in this matchup.
Oh, it brings us to tonight's keys to the game, presented by Amaret Bank. Uogagu into the box, dribbles to herself, looking for a cross. She's blocked down. Playing through some contact, Ubogagu cuts it back towards the spot, and it's cleared out by Knox. All right, here are the keys to the game, presented by Amaret Bank. That little run there from Dallas wouldn't let us get to that.
And it's interesting because Fort Lauderdale has already checked my box in terms of their key to the game, and that's being clinical in the attacking third. I keep mentioning it, how much they worked on it in practice. It clearly shows today as they were able to get on the board in the second minute there. And if you're Dallas, you have to settle into this game. You've gone on a 7-game unbeaten streak at this point. Can you keep that momentum and take bits and pieces from each and every match to this point and bring it into today's game?
Well, I don't think even Mears would have expected this team to be as clinical as they have been with that wonderful goal from Hamid, but they will take it, Fort Lauderdale. It's a little out of character too for Dallas to give up an early strike. They've been really good defensively as of late, especially since they switched to that 3-back under McDonald. McDonald was late getting to Dallas, so she missed the first 3 games of the season. Really putting her stamp on this team, a very accomplished player and coach. Played for the Scottish national team, 60+ caps, played for Arsenal herself, and then coached the U17 Scottish women's national team. McNeil, dribbler into the box, and it's cleared out.
I really enjoyed our conversation with McDonald and just the way all of these coaches really, but McDonald in particular, the way she sees the game. I love how she talked about the importance of boosting your defensive players because it's just as important to have confident defenders as it is to have confident attackers. Just the way she thinks about things like changing the formation because they were playing a little too stretched out, so giving them a little bit of relief in the middle of the field. It allows them to play with numbers up at all times. Just, you mentioned it, her soccer IQ is really fantastic, and it's always fun to nerd out with her about soccer.
That joins this Dallas club with GM Chris Petroselli, another accomplished coach at the college level. Also coach in the NWSL for Chicago, but an absolutely legendary college coach in Texas, so it makes sense that he would join the Dallas side. Shania Gordon gets tripped up, and it's booted back here. Dallas just trying to possess and get something going offensively. Pace, Hudson. Looking to break lines, and again, it's given away. Addie McCain just outside the box has her shot disrupted. Gordon races to in the 18. She squares now. Trying to juke out a defender, looks for a service, and it's deflected. Should be a corner, and it is for Fort Lauderdale.
Just too many mistakes early on for Dallas Trinity in this game. Very uncharacteristic as well. A lot of turnovers there in the middle. And we talked about Addie McCain. We spotlighted her in the open. Her ability just to get in and disrupt the play in the defensive third for Dallas is going to be an issue if they're going to continue to have those turnovers.
This corner kick is presented by All Year Cooling and Plumbing. It's the first one we've seen for either side. Opportunity to double the lead at home from Knox on the outswinger. Rising for the header, McNeil's there. Trying to turn and fire was Gaynor, the center back, and unable to complete. Gaynor, the rest of this back line aggressive for Fort Lauderdale. Vaca. Jordan. Gottschalk. Gordon McCain, who has 6 goals on the year. Gordon leads the team in shots too. Now she's in the box. Takes one, it's blocked. White on the second opportunity. There's a third, knocks right to Maddie White, and it's stopped.
Well, I don't know if it was their Thanksgiving feast that they had over the break, or it really is all of those reps they've had in practice, but man, I am so impressed with Fort Lauderdale's nose for the goal right now. It just seems like they are being relentless in front of net. You see it there as well. Addie McCain trying to turn defense into offense. And for Dallas, it just feels like they haven't woken up. They haven't settled into this match. They're playing on the back foot. Curious to see if Fort Lauderdale can continue this high press and this high energy, but Coach Mears has got to be happy with what his side is showing right now in that attacking third.
Yeah, we were told it was quite the Thanksgiving feast for Fort Lauderdale United. The team got together. We were told Vaca made a ham.
A ham?
Very impressive.
I don't even think I could make a ham.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the middle of the season.
Well, in the aftermath of both hurricanes, Helene and Milton, the USL has partnered with United Way Suncoast to help the Tampa Bay area recover from the devastation the storm left behind. To learn more, you can get involved, scan the QR code, or visit www.uslsoccer.com/Milton to ensure individuals and families have the access to the resources they need to recover. We're 15 minutes in. Hamid scored in the second minute. That's the difference at the moment. Fort Lauderdale up on Dallas at beyond Bankard Field. McNeil in her 4th start with the team. McCain has it poked away. Hinson for Dallas. Brooks, he'll pass behind to Gracie Bryan, who now controls, possesses, something Dallas has kind of struggled to do so far in this match.
And this is kind of the tempo I expected to see really out of both of these teams. For Dallas, they really like to control the possession, and I mentioned it, it's why they like to load the middle of the field so much so that they can swing the point of attack. The frustrating part about where they're at in this match is they're down 1-0 so early that they're going to have a little bit of urgency in the middle, but that doesn't mean they can leave their game plan of possessing until the right pass is open. So it's going to be a delicate dance for them as they have to remain patient as the first half goes on.
Too far out of reach for Ubo Gagu. Ubo Gagu is one of those players that has a lot of pace up the flank and could be a good option for Dallas. Very experienced, played at Arsenal, Tottenham, now joins this Trinity side.
And she's so dangerous because of how she stretches the field. Not only does she give them width, but you mentioned it, she gives them pace up the field as well too. She was the spark for that Sam Meza goal against Carolina, and she always is a threat because she's hanging out wide.
Hamid aggressive, it pays off. Hamid alone in the 18, swerves off her left foot, trying to tuck that in the corner, she's wide.
Well, Fort Lauderdale smells blood in the water, and so does Jasmine Hamid. She is looking to continue to put pressure on net, and I love this play here. It's just a hustle, and she's rewarded because she goes at it full speed, able to maintain possession. That shot just inches away from being tucked into the back post, but a true striker's vision, being able to find the back post there. Not too much pace.
Meza, definitely an X factor for this Dallas team. Engineers a lot for this group as Gracie Bryan surges forward. Lots of green to operate. Ubogagu wide with it now. Serves it up. Rising is Hinson, bounces through, just couldn't quite connect on that. But it's still the final third. Pace. Bounces off of McNeil. She lofts it up, back post, and it nearly goes in. Ubogagu, another opportunity. Relentless here, Dallas, but that one soars out of play.
You can see the game plan for Dallas, what they like to do, right? They love to stretch the field and utilize their wingers there. Ubogagu with just a little bit of frustration on that final cross through. But if Fort Lauderdale is going to give them those outside channels, they're going to have to be a lot more clinical. 3 straight crosses across the box shouldn't be happening without at least a threat of pressure on net. They've got to be better and more clinical with that.
Hinton holds it up and finds Meza, who cuts it back. Ubogagu is blocked on that one and is cleared out. Dallas has grown into this game over the last couple of minutes. In general, Dallas has scored 17 goals on the season. That's tied for the league lead.
6 of them came, of course, in that 6-2 win over Lexington earlier in the season. That was very impressive, especially when you think about the 3-2 come from behind win they had a few weeks later.
Gordon, head on a swivel, now into the box, off of Hudson, who breaks it up. Second chance, blocked by White. It was fun collapsing in for Fort Lauderdale. Madison White said no.
Well, and it's a great save from Madison White, and good luck, too, for this Dallas back line. I don't love this ball played in, didn't have enough pace, but that mistake right there, if you're going to be in the middle of the box, you have to clear that out first time. You can't take a touch. Thank goodness as well, the sliding defense coming in as well was there to help Madison White out, but just too many defensive mistakes for Dallas right now. Eventually, it's going to start adding up.
Another corner kick presented by All Year Cooling and Plumbing for Fort Lauderdale. Headed towards the back post, White snags. Started 9 games now for Dallas.
White had a really nice game against Carolina a week ago, and we know what Carolina is capable of in this league. I know they're going through a bit of a rut right now. They've been on such a high. But Maddie White was called upon several times in that game. She had to come out and make big decisions. Obviously, she's going to be instrumental today if Fort Lauderdale continues this high press and this offensive firepower as we've seen through the first half, but she's going to be very important to this back line. And I think as well, the communication aspect of it too, she's going to have to talk a lot more.
Vaca. McNeil. Hamid's boxed out there by Hudson. Bounces off of Brooks, swiped, and now Fort Lauderdale can swing around. Looking for Gaynor. A little bit of pressure from Hinson. Gottschalk. McNeil. Lifts towards the circle. Off the body of Hardiman, Strawn gives it away right to Vaca. Sealy Strawn, another Academy product that's seen a fair amount of time this year. Gets a start for Dallas, a 17-year-old. Goal and assist.
I love the attack from Dallas as well, too, just in terms of the personality. You've got Sierra Hinson, the high player. She's the holding player, the distributor. She's got the vision. You've got Ubogagu on the wide, on the outside. We've seen her athleticism and her speed already as well there, too. Sealy Strawn sort of brings that young, youthful energy into the starting lineup as well. And then you balance it off with Sam Meza and Amber Brooks in the midfield. And it's just interesting to see how those different personalities and their different styles really mesh together. McDonald has really figured out that top 5, top 6 players. And it's worked so far. Unfortunately, today they haven't had that chemistry.
Hudson. Hardiman. Ubogagu. So looking to serve it up, but it's denied. Meza. Gordon helps out defensively, and it should be a throw-in for Dallas. It is. McCain sticks a leg out to Brooks. Hamid's there. Quick passes. Brian Ubogagu on the flank and gives it away. Gordon. Smith. Fort Lauderdale, 3 wins on the season, just 1 win here at home. And mentioned that the last win was October 6th against Brooklyn. So it's been 4 losses and a draw in the last 5 games.
But you can see the ingredients there for Fort Lauderdale, and I think that's what's really been the frustrating part for this coaching staff, is that they know the talent that this roster bodes. We've even seen it on that initial strike. It was a fantastic strike from Hamid, and so the pieces are there. They just haven't been able to put them all together, and that's the difficult part of a new league.
Hamid cuts it back. Gordon, her shot is denied. Hamid just kind of splits Gordon and Fung on that cross. Ubogagu going the other way for Dallas, 25 minutes into this first half. Knox intercepts. Looks around for options. Fung, heavy touch. And Dallas has more possession time. And Fort Lauderdale has 2 shots on goal and 4 shots total, just 1 shot on target for this Dallas side so far.
Interesting when you see the possession there as well. It's been Dallas controlling the possession. They just unfortunately have not had anything to show for it.
Pace. Hinson. Play on. Gordon in a battle with Weinbrenner. Well, let's take a look at Fort Lauderdale United's upcoming schedule presented by Visit Fort Lauderdale. I'll mention that they're at home, so next game is against Spokane, December 7th. Play Carolina at home as well following that. Then have a break until February, as everyone does in USL Super League. McCain, brave through the air. Hamid moves it centrally. Gets a lucky bounce. McCain, good vision, but it's too far ahead. Was searching for Gordon.
And I love the idea from Addie McCain there. Just the quick vision to try and slip that through. Gordon, I don't think, continued her run far enough to get on the back of that. But if Gordon would have continued that run on the outside, I can imagine we could be looking at 2-0 here.
Hudson. Bounces over the head of Hinson. Meza. Fighting through some contact, and a foul is called against Knox.
Just a bit of physical play there from Felicia Knox. Otherwise has been a very even game, I would say. Elton Garcia has sort of let this one play out. Hasn't been overly physical.
Meza. Out of reach for Ubogagu. Mir's looking on. A lot of points kind of left on the table for Fort Lauderdale this season, whether it was a draw or a win. But everything's still so tight standings-wise in Super League, so 3 points does make a big difference. Only 8 teams in USL Super League.
And one of the things Coach McDonald told us that really stood out to me was the margin of error in this league. She said because of how competitive it has been, you can be playing the last place team, and if you don't capitalize on your opportunities, you find yourself in a situation like this where you're trailing 1-0 the second minute of the game, just because the teams are so capable in this league. It's really fascinating too, just to see how these different teams and the different personalities have developed as the season has gone on, and that's still been the consistent message.
Yeah, McDonald and her side learned that against Lexington earlier this year. Lexington's playing some high-scoring games this season. Currently the 8th place team in USL Super League. And Dallas hoping to move up to first.
A little bit of physical play there as well. Jenna Weinbrenner wanting the foul called. Maya Gordon, on the other hand, says keep playing.
Well, McDonald had a lot of good things to say about Jenna Weinbrenner and just how she's been an immediate leader for this team. And I'm sure it takes some leadership when you change formations mid-season as well from that back line.
And look, it's challenging. I know it sounds silly to say it's still so early as we see the fall slate coming to a close, but it takes time and games and different lineups to figure out what works best for you.
Hamid tries to make a move. Brooks closes in. We're half an hour in. We saw the first and only goal in the second minute from Jasmine Hamid.
And that's been the tail of the tape there. Has just been turnovers in the wrong part of the field for Dallas. They can't get into a rhythm because they're passing to the other team. Fort Lauderdale, meanwhile, has been very disciplined, very organized.
Yeah, frankly, been a little bit lucky that Fort Lauderdale hasn't capitalized on another one of those turnovers.
And it just seems like one of those days when, you know, you lean on the 3-5-2 and you have so much congestion in the middle. It can be a really good thing because you always have support. But it can also be kind of challenging because there's so many bodies in the middle and so many different players trying to create those chances and making the runs. And sometimes it can get a little bit messy in the midfield there. So I'll be curious to see at halftime or even as this first half continues to tick, if we see a little bit of an adjustment from Coach McDonald.
McCain. In the corner for Gordon. 2 defenders swarm. And she swerves to make a move. Looks like it's going to be a corner for Fort Lauderdale. Went off a defender for Dallas. Oh, Felicia Knox will take this set piece. Knox towards the back post, sails over everybody, untouched and out of play.
And I think that's a ball that Knox would like to have back. I think it just went off the odd part of her boot there. Wasn't able to really threaten. But you have to give Fort Lauderdale credit. They have clearly had the best of the offensive challenges in these games. Even on set pieces, they've had the corner kicks and the opportunities there to make this a higher scoring game. So just as Dallas looks for the equalizer, I'm curious to see, you know, if Fort Lauderdale can continue this momentum, continue this high press, and even get some more shots on target as well.
We'll stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super newsletter as Gottschalk tracks back. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Smith. Knox. Switching the point of attack. Vaca. Plays it long. Hamid. And the other way now with pace.
Speaking of pace, look at the pace there from Hamid and even Pace herself. Unfortunately, she commits the foul. But Hamid has been so special in this first half. We'll talk about her a lot because the goal was so impressive, but really I've been impressed with her ability to play on both sides of the ball here. Like I said, just gets a little bit of a backwards touch there, a little too strong through the back. But she has been so effective. She has disrupted this game in multiple ways. Dallas is going to have to find the answer for her as they go into the halftime break because she has been relentless.
Free kick for Brooks. And again, that's untouched. Actually, skimmed off ahead and out of play. So it is a corner kick for Dallas, the first one that we've seen. Trinity has a great opportunity to equalize.
And it would be the perfect time as well, especially when you think about how much Fort Lauderdale is left on the table. Finding an equalizer right before the half would be huge.
Ubogagu on the outswinger. Pushed out for Brian. Opportunity for a second ball, no. Not the execution you would want there for Dallas, who's had minimal opportunities in the final third so far today. Hudson. 10 minutes to go as Pace looks to make a move against McNeil, and McNeil's just not having it.
Fort Lauderdale's been very disciplined in their defense today, and what you've noticed too is that they've been really good at switching the point of attack. They felt a lot of the pressure from that left side just because Dallas naturally floats left with Ubagagu stretching the field. So they've become really accustomed to, as this half has gone on, just switching the point of attack, making the left side of their field work in their favor too.
Into the box, Ubogagu. Brian. Ubogagu shoots. Gottschalk reaches for it and somehow gets the ball.
Tyrone Mears' side breathing a sigh of relief as Gottschalk with the sticky hands. And it's interesting, it's Ubagagu on the finish. We're so used to seeing her out wide that in the box, maybe not expecting that shot to come off, but magnet hands from McKenna Gottschalk to keep this one scoreless for Dallas.
Well, that was a second shot for Dallas tonight as Gordon looks to break free past two defenders. Shania Gordon shoots, and it's knocked down by White.
Gordon a little slow to get up. I wonder if it's just a little bit of fatigue after that big long run she made down the side of the field. She's so pacey, and I say this on every broadcast so that the viewers at home will understand, but dribbling at pace is one of the most difficult things in soccer. It's hard just to hold on to the possession, to play in control. And the way she just brought that up the field cleanly, getting the shot off on target, it's a really difficult thing to do.
Oh, Gordon has 19 plus shots on the season, but hasn't scored this year for Fort Lauderdale. McCain, Knox, Gaynor. That pass behind her, so she sprints to. Watching as Hinson looms. Gordon. Sort of forced towards that middle.
It just seems like Fort Lauderdale United, every time there's those 50-50 balls or there's a lot of players in the way. They just seem to be the players to come out with it every time. It almost just feels like they want it more, and I know that feels like a corny thing to say at this point of the game, but that's just how it's felt. It just feels like every 50-50 ball, every time there's an opportunity to get on the front foot, it's Fort Lauderdale capitalizing. Dallas sort of playing from behind, having to adjust their game plan to what Fort Lauderdale has presented.
Well, it's been a really good half for Fort Lauderdale. I was hoping to hold on until the break with the lead. Knox. Gottschalk. Jordan. Gaynor. Hinson with some pressure. Gottschalk slides it past her to Gaynor. Up over the top.
It's one of the challenges of playing in that 3-5-2, or even now we've sort of seen it be a little bit more of that 2-6-1 that McDonald talked to us about. You just don't get as much pressure up there on the Fort Lauderdale back line, and as a result, they're just kind of pinging it around, waiting for those right moves and the passing lanes to open up.
Pace. Hamid on the swipe. McNeil showing off her speed. Couple of players making runs in the box, and McNeil is taken down. Hudson opts to cut it towards the middle. Gracie Bryan. Ubo Gagu. Hudson. Well, nothing much there for Dallas with 5 minutes to go in this first half. McNeil. Vaca. Gottschalk.
And look at the confidence right now, Maura, that Fort Lauderdale is playing with, being able to ping around the box and then pass it with those 1-2 touch passes. That's something that a confident team does. You've got to be able to feel comfortable playing in front of your goalkeeper right now. And I kind of mentioned that being up 1-0, you can do that a little bit more. But this is a totally different team, I think, than we've seen of Fort Lauderdale. And getting that early goal, it gives you that confidence, right? But man, they have really executed their game plan today. They've been disciplined, tough in front of net.
But it's about that full 90, like you said, in keys to the game. Ali Rogers, Tyrone Mears, they've been focusing on just a complete 90 minutes, and it's easier said than done, professional soccer. Meza. Strawn. Bryan takes a shot, and it's wide. Collided with Gaynor in the aftermath of that as well.
Good to see some life in terms of the attack from Dallas Trinity. A little bit of an ambitious shot there from Gracie Bryan, just a little bit far out, but you've got to test the goalkeeper. We really haven't seen Gottschalk be too busy. She's been called upon to make a couple of saves, but other than that, it's been smooth sailing for this Fort Lauderdale back line. Completely different than what we saw in that Carolina game just a little over a week ago, where Dallas really dominated possession and a lot of the offensive attacks.
Well, Dallas just has one loss on the season. It was in September against Brooklyn. It was an away game, but otherwise 5 wins, 1 loss, and 5 draws on the year for Dallas. Gordon earns a corner. Another one for Fort Lauderdale. Again, these corner kicks presented by All Year Cooling and Plumbing. Off the corner, headed towards the near post. It skips past everybody. Dallas just gonna knock that back to Gottschalk. McNeil, Hamid, spins centrally, making a run. McNeil tackled away. It looks like Brian is down again. She had 2 players surrounding.
Oh, and she just got the cleats of McNeil right on the front of her leg there. That never feels good. I like the no call there. It's a gutsy decision to make the slide defensively, but never feels good to get those studs into your shin.
Here comes another corner for Fort Lauderdale on the outswinger, rising for a header, and it's well wide. Oh, right in front of the band that's performing at halftime here at Beyond Bankard Field. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a home side up 1-0.
They'll have a lot to celebrate at halftime. I know this is just a 1-0 game, only 1 goal to show for what Fort Lauderdale has done in this first half, but man, it has been so impressive. Maybe the possession at times has been favored by Dallas, but Fort Lauderdale has just been relentless in front of net, and I know we talked with Allie Rogers about the finishing aspect. I'm sure that coaching staff is going to want a little bit more in terms of the finishing in the second half, but they have created so many dangerous chances that has really taken Dallas out of their game.
Weinbrenner, Brian, Hudson, McNeil, Meza. Just a minute of added time in this first half.
And it's going to be a very important minute for Dallas here. You cannot concede. At the very least, you've got to get out of this first half with just the 1 goal deficit. And on the opposite side of that, if you're Fort Lauderdale, I'd really like to see them pushing up the field, maybe trying to find a late second goal here. Would be huge for the momentum we talked about at the beginning of this one going into the second half.
Jordan, Fung. And that's going to take us to the end of the first half. 1-0 the score. Fort Lauderdale up on Dallas after 45 minutes. And it's Jasmine Hamid with her 3rd goal of the year. That's the difference so far.
And it was an early difference as well, too. Just copy and paste what Dallas did against Carolina the week before, and Fort Lauderdale has the blueprint for that 1-0 lead. But overall, I just said it, I was so impressed with Fort Lauderdale's ability to capitalize on that goal and then settle into the match, right? They did some great things with possession. They had the bulk of the offensive chances there, and defensively, I thought they sat well. They contained the Dallas pressure when it was applied there. A really impressive stuff from Tyrone Mears' side.
And it wasn't just a goal, it was a banger,
A banger.
of a goal. An unbelievable finish from Hamid. Puts her stamp on this game early. And Fort Lauderdale is in control. Now, Dallas has some work to do, but this is a team that can score at a high rate. We know that. So interested to see what adjustments are made at the break for Trinity FC.
And isn't it interesting how the ebbs and flows of the season sort of apply to each and every team? We just had this conversation with Carolina, whose 11-game unbeaten streak was broken, and now they've dropped 2 straight. Dallas is the next on that list, right? They've won 7, or I should say they're unbeaten in 7 straight, and now they're hitting that similar wall, right? Like, how do we maintain all of this success that we've had? It's going to be difficult, but a lot of conversations to be had in the second half.
We'll take a break and come back after this USL Super League battle. Hamid, what a strike. It's a 1-0 lead for Fort Lauderdale up on Dallas after 45 minutes of play.
flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador. Spiked bebidas.
Once the game kicks off, the hype doesn't matter anymore. Your follower count means nothing. Your resume is irrelevant. What matters is the moment, the game, the crest on the front of your jersey, the people you play for. Are you going to make history? Are you going to save the day? Are you going to score a hat trick, break some ankles, or give a kid the thrill of a lifetime? This is what the movement is all about. These moments that matter. The USL Super League.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
With over 2 decades of experience in the payment industry, Beyond Bankcard is more than just a payment processor. We are a partner dedicated to your success. Our mission is simple: to provide innovative, flexible payment processing solutions tailored to meet your needs.
We partner up with various companies, restaurants, retail, smoke shops, convenience store, you name it, we have the POS system for it.
Whether it's tools we provide or the relationships we nurture, Beyond Bankcard is here to power your payment solutions.
Women's professional soccer is here. Get your tickets now at FTLUTD.com.
Hi, I'm Sloan Smith. We love our Florida sunshine, but a hot house? Definitely not. At All Year, we offer same-day AC and plumbing service and installation. 0 down financing? Yes, all year. Need help today? Yes, all year. Need plumbing help? Yes, all year. We're South Florida's #1 for comfort because our family is serving your family all year. Call us today at 833-ALL-YEAR. That's 833-ALL-YEAR.
Women's professional soccer is here. Get your tickets now at FTLUTD.com.
Welcome back to Beyond Bankcard Field in Fort Lauderdale. 1-0 the score. Fort Lauderdale United up on Dallas Trinity after one half of play. Tonight's halftime is presented by iHeartRadio. Let's take a look at news and notes across the USL Super League. Well, we've talked about Sam Meza and her fastest goal in the league. That actually isn't true anymore.
That'll be done after this week.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, we saw the fastest goal scored today again, but that was really an impressive moment for Sam Meza in that game, and it led to our second point on that list, which is Carolina dropping 2 straight after such an impressive start to the season.
And then Anna Bagley scored her first pro goal in DC's win over Fort Lauderdale United. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scores presented by Delta Airlines. So this from right before Thanksgiving, and we talked about these 2 games. Right now, though, it's interesting that Dallas is in the very position that they put Carolina in, and so they conceded an early goal. Now they have to try to work their way back in this one.
And I'm curious how much Fort Lauderdale dove into the film of that game, because as I mentioned it, Aaron, at the end of the first half, it feels very similar. Like you mentioned, I'll be curious to see how Dallas comes out in the second half.
We'll take a break, and then we'll break down this game for Lauderdale and Dallas. Stick with us here in the iHeartRadio halftime show.
prohibited from entering the field at any time during tonight's match. Throwing items onto the field, engaging in inappropriate actions, or using vulgar language towards other fans, coaches, referees, or players is also prohibited. Any violation of these policies will result in immediate ejection and possible arrest. If you require assistance or witness violation of these policies, please contact the nearest Fort Lauderdale United or Beyond Vanguard Field representative. Thank you for your cooperation.
Well, it's a home side. Who's up? Fort Lauderdale United up on Dallas Trinity, 1-0 the score. We've seen a goal from Hamid. Tonight's halftime is presented by iHeartRadio. Let's take a look at the halftime highlights presented by Blue Water Books and Charts. And this happened 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, this was the highlight of the game. Of course, it came off that defensive miscue, but boy, did Jasmine Hamid do the rest. The finish on this ball, the bend, the buckle, the curve, whatever you want to call it. There was no way that Madison White was getting a touch on that ball.
That Hamid's third goal of the season here in USL Super League, but Hinson getting in on the action on the other side.
Hinson, typically a player that likes to distribute, but she saw space in front of her, wanted to challenge the goalkeeper in McKenna Gottschalk. It's a great save from Gottschalk, who's coming off of that foot injury, but really the only offensive opportunity for Dallas.
Then up for Hamid again, and she just powers through.
Yeah, the power pays off here. I wish she would have got this shot off a little bit sooner, just couldn't quite get it, but even when she did, it was threatening, right? Just inches away from being tucked on that back post. Julia Stryker's fine there to pick that out.
Shania Gordon showing off her pace on the far side.
Yes, she's been so athletic on that outside. Just not quite the pace on the pass in, but she's been giving Dallas Trinity fits all game long down that right side of the flank. It was a good opportunity for Fort Lauderdale, who would definitely want to have some of those at the back of the net.
It's a strong throw-in for Dallas, and chaos ensues.
Kind of just pings around. Ubagagu getting the final touch there, and again, she just didn't pick a corner. Had to get a shot off there, but it's a heads-up save by Gottschalk as it was pinging around, had a potential to threaten.
Well, tonight's halftime stats are presented by Beyond Bankcard. And we've seen 8 shots for Fort Lauderdale, just 3 for Dallas.
And you'll see, too, the possession leaning in favor of Fort Lauderdale. They were really in control in that first half. They were never really threatened or tested. So for Dallas, they're going to have to change some things coming out of the second half.
Second half kick on the other side between Fort Lauderdale United and Dallas Trinity. Stick with us for some more USL Super League action. Just about ready to start the second half. Fort Lauderdale and Dallas 1-0 the score. Fort Lauderdale with the lead at home. We do have a sub to tell you about. Hannah Davison will come in the game for Dallas Trinity, and it's Rachel Pace who comes out. Just on Jasmine Hamid, her goal gave Fort Lauderdale the lead 2 minutes into this match. They have held that lead ever since as Davison runs onto the pitch. Haley Sutton, Morris Sheridan, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. This is a second meeting between these two squads in 2024. And it will be Addie McCain and Fort Lauderdale to start with the ball in the second half.
And I like the substitution there from Pauline McDonald early, bringing in an experienced defensive player to sort of help some of those defensive miscues that we've seen, very uncharacteristic for Dallas as we've seen some of those mistakes. So bringing in a player like her will hopefully settle down that defensive line and help spark the offense that we haven't really seen from Dallas so far.
Yeah, this is only the second game this season that Davison hasn't started for Trinity. Does have 2 goals as well on set pieces this year for Dallas.
And that's a trend we've really seen in the Super League this season, is the defense and the defenders and the center backs getting up and really causing some havoc on set pieces in terms of scoring. It was kind of a trend really early in the season where we saw defenders leading the way in terms of goal scoring.
So again, pace out, Davison in. The substitution is brought to you by Omega XL Sport. Well, there's a couple of other changes both these squads can make, but just have to keep in mind that Allie Thornton is on the bench, and she is the leading scorer for Dallas, so available tonight to come in, maybe be a super sub.
And at this rate, it's kind of feeling like it's what Dallas needs. That starting 11, no shade. It just wasn't working in terms of what Fort Lauderdale has presented too. So I expect to see a lot of subs come in. We saw Enzi Broussard come in against Carolina late in the game, and she was a big impact player, and they were winning in that matchup. So I can see a world where maybe she checks in and just brings a little bit of life and energy and a different look. Sometimes that's what you need.
Davison, Weinbrenner, Meza, tripped up by Gordon. And a little extracurriculars after from Gordon and Meza. Have to be separated by Gracie Bryan.
And that's just a little bit of the frustration showing there. 2 players very competitive. Mesa wants a tug here, and she has a case. She has a case. Gordon went 2 hands full through. You see the contact there. She's got her jersey, and then just that extra shove off the back. Sam Meza did not like that. Thankfully, the referee sort of settling things down, speaking to both players. He's talking to Sam Meza right now. But that's the frustration you're going to get from a Dallas side that feels like they should be a little bit more competitive in this game, and they're trailing. Just that physicality and tempers flaring. I have a feeling we're in store for a bit more of that as the second goes on.
Well, it is a foul. Weinbrenner on the free kick for Dallas. Sails this one just outside of the 18. Gordon redirects, pushing it up for Addie McCain. Picking up speed against Gordon. He was just going to take it wide.
I like the adjustment there from Wanaya Hudson. I feel like she was having such a tough time defensively in the game for Dallas, and she's really settled in. As this is very early in the second half, obviously, so a small sample size, but a much better showing for her on those 50-50 balls over the top. She had some difficulty handling Hamid in the first.
Meza. 2 defenders bothering Meza. Weinbrenner gets hit hard. Lands pretty hard as well, as Fung gets whistled for that one.
No protest from Fung there. It was a pretty hard challenge, not an intentional one, but those 50-50 balls where you're just going in, misses making contact with the ball, and I said it earlier, those plays where it just goes straight through your shin. It's one of those where it's gonna hurt now and hurt even worse tomorrow morning when you wake up.
Well, this is the first start for Fung on the 2024 season. Product of UC Irvine. She gets a yellow card on that one. That's the first card that we've seen given out today.
And a similar set piece as well, as we just saw a few minutes ago.
A little bit closer range. Opportunity to curl this one up, back post. See what they can make of this. Amber Brooks is pretty good through the air throughout her professional career. Is this one bent? And it just takes an unlucky bounce and over the head of Davison.
You mentioned her goal scoring ability. As soon as she checked in, it would have been a prime opportunity for her to showcase that in a moment where her team could really use it. I love Ubagagu taking this ball, the strong in-swinger off the left foot. No one was really on the back post there. Hannah Davison, I wish she was maybe coming a little bit faster, could have got her head through that, and it would have maybe looked a little bit different in terms of the scoring. But those are the good chances for Dallas, and it's a 1-0 game. It's a challenging deficit because you're trying to find that equalizer so quickly, but I mentioned this earlier, the patience in the possession. We know that Dallas can control the ball very well. We know they'll create the opportunities. It's just a matter of being patient and waiting for those opportunities to come, especially early in the second.
Davison shuffles back. Is McCain in front of her now? Breezes past McCain, loses another defender, then gives it away. Intercepted by Jordan.
Now she has to get back. She's leaving her team vulnerable to this Fort Lauderdale attack.
Gordon up the flank against Weinbrenner. Whips it across. Broken up. That was a decent look for Fort Lauderdale.
And again, it's Hudson on the clearance there. She had to sort of shift into the middle because we saw Davison make that big run, and it's a good recovery from Davison as well to get back. But that's what you're gonna need out of Dallas. If you're sending your center back up the field, the rest of the defense has to be prepared to shift in and settle in because, as I mentioned it as the play was building, Fort Lauderdale's attack has been quick. It's been up the outside channels, crossing that ball in. So a heads up play there from the defense to adjust for Trinity.
Hudson on the throw. Gordon pounces on that. Just a soft pass from Ryan. Knox. Danor. Vaca. Gottschalk. Vaca again. Henson shoots! And it's stopped by Gottschalk. Off the rebound, cleared by McNeil. Pretty powerful shot from just a step outside the box.
Sierra Henson has been dangerous in this game. I love this shot too. It's driven, it's powerful. Unfortunately, it's right into the hands of Madison White, so, in the hands of McKenna Gottschalk. So a routine save there, but more of that from Dallas as you start to see them settle into the game plan. I imagine they'd wanted to play in that first.
Well, every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with host Mary Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season on the SiriusXM app. As you see, Ali Watt there, NWSL champion, checking out USL Super League. And she's seen a good game. Let's see if Dallas can find the equalizer. Weinbrenner on the throw. Hinson tries to get around unsuccessfully. Meza. Weinbrenner. No, there hasn't been much opportunity for either of these teams in this second half offensively, but that's okay for Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, you would like some cushion, but they'll live with it. Obviously, the more desperate side is Dallas. Meza, Weinbrenner. Looking for the seams in this defense for Fort Lauderdale, sitting back a little bit because they can.
Yeah, and you've noticed as well, too, Addie McCain has sort of shifted into that more centralized high player, and you mentioned as well, Fort Lauderdale sort of dropped their players into the midfield, so that 4-3-3 is a little bit exaggerated right now, but they don't have to play defense, especially when they can go on the counter like this and turn defense into offense.
Gordon, 1v1 with Weinbrenner, just boxes her out.
Another physical run from Gordon as you see the referee having a conversation with her. There was a little bit of a late push on Weinbrenner as Weinbrenner boxed her out. But Gordon has been such a problem in this game. I wish she could find the finish, because I think that's been the one criticism of her game, is that she puts herself and even her teammates in really great opportunities, but it's the final finish, that final touch, that she's really been lacking. But she has caused Fort Lauderdale, or excuse me, she's caused Dallas's defense to have to keep one, even two players sometimes on her in those outside channels.
Oh, a whistle there as we saw Fung undercut a Dallas player. Brooks with some words for our center referee, Elton Garcia, and it's another free kick for Dallas.
And Fung will have to be careful going forward. Remember, she's on that yellow card.
Into the 18, Godschuk punches it away. Not before that. Oh, we have a call. Offside for Dallas. Just another tough break for this team that just can't seem to find the momentum needed. Oh, we see a yellow card given out after the fact.
I wonder if it went to Amber Brooks. She was very frustrated on that offensive, or that offsides call.
Yeah, I'm sure for some dissent there from the captain. And now we have Fung and Brooks on yellows for the remainder of this match, and Brooks is not a player that they would like to take out anytime soon, Dallas. So still having a conversation with Garcia. Two-time national champion Brooks with North Carolina.
And I can imagine, you know, her frustration when we asked Coach Pauline McDonald about Amber Brooks and what she brings to this team. She said she's a winner, she's ambitious, she goes out and gives it her all in every moment, even if that means having a spirited conversation with the referee. She just holds herself to such a high standard, and this team to a high standard. So I can imagine from her vantage point as one of the more experienced players, that frustration spilling over as her team tries to figure it out.
That was a bit of a shaky moment for Dallas, just trying to get out of their own end yet again. McNeil, Vaca. This out of play, and we're going to see a sub, another one. This time for Dallas. Allie Thornton, 4 goals on this season, will enter this game. Hinson out. But this is a sub that we were kind of expecting to come soon. Could be a big change for Trinity.
And I'm curious at the swap with Hinson for Thornton. I love the entrance of Thornton because you mentioned it. She brings that goal-scoring ability into a game where they desperately need a goal. But I thought Sierra Hinson has been the best player on the field for Dallas Trinity up to this point. Maybe it's a rest thing, maybe it's something that we haven't been told about, but it's going to be interesting to see if Allie Thornton can bring that offensive firepower quickly as she settles into the game.
Jolted around the midfield. Hudson with McCain right in front of her. McNeil. McCain. Hardiman. That's just back and forth between these two sides. We have half an hour to go. And Hamid with the game winner at the moment that she scored 2 minutes into this match.
And she's been much more quiet in this second half. We really haven't seen her have that same impact. Not to say that she can't, because we saw how much she tore it up in the first. But it's a sign of Dallas really settling in and making those second half adjustments.
Thrown to the 18, Brooks taps it to the keeper in Gottschalk, who just dives, covers, and gives her team a chance to breathe and kill some clock. Was gonna roll it out, but opts to send everybody forward as she sees Thornton out in front.
Anything you can do to milk even a few more seconds off of that clock.
Hudson has to be careful because here comes Hamid. And it's a bit of a late tackle and didn't quite have the angle. Looks like she got booked for that one, I think that's right. So Fung has a yellow, and so does Hamid on the Fort Lauderdale side.
And Hamid, you know, she's not feeling like it was warranted for a yellow card, but as we see there, she just cleans right through Hudson there on the tackle. Doesn't really make much contact with the ball, if at all. It's a great look from our camera crew there. But just a little too physical when it came to Wanaya Hudson and trying to win that ball back.
Hamid shoots, and it rolls to the keeper, White. There's another look at that. Well, Henderson and Klein getting ready to come in for Fort Lauderdale. See them waiting in the wings. Thornton. Surges, top of the box to Meza. Looks like Meza was gonna fire, instead she finds Brooks. Brooks runs into McNeil.
And it's a good decision by Meza to lay that one off for Amber Brooks. Just a little bit heavy on that first touch, and McNeil was there ready to pounce. But again, Dallas just looking a little bit more like themselves in this second half. You've seen to the possession and the way they've been able to hold on to the ball. Unfortunately for Fort Lauderdale, you mentioned it earlier, Maura, they really don't, not that they don't have to work as hard, but they do have that cushion of that 1-0 lead. So they have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of how they're playing in the second half.
Here come the two changes. Again, these subs brought to you by Omega XL Sport. So Klein in, Jordan out. Henderson enters, and Fung comes out. And that makes sense because Fung just picked up a yellow card.
Smart substitution there from Tyrone Mears. Fung has been really instrumental in this game, I think, but getting her off that yellow, especially, we just saw her pick up another foul rather than risk going down a player in a 1-0 match to bring in fresh legs.
Hamid looks like she has fresh legs, but she's been a starter in this game, and she turned on the Jets, but that one out of reach. White plays it out from the back here. Davison lifts for Dallas. Knox resets for Fort Lauderdale. Weinbrenner with Gordon right behind. Gives it away. Off the cross. And it just drops right to White, the keeper. Not the intended target for Taylor Smith. Klein, aggressive. Ubogagu for Dallas. Weinbrenner. Neza. Ubogagu. Thornton The win does not take that. I think everybody was waiting for it too. Klein, the 17-year-old. Into the bench with Pauline McDonald in this Dallas club.
See her there just giving a couple of words of advice to Ubagagu, who's been a huge part of this game, but just hasn't found a way to really break through yet. You see her there, though. She's can be dangerous on the ball if you give her time and space.
Well, Knox denies that opportunity, sticks a leg out. Brian searching for options, uses Weinbrenner behind. Back to Brian, off the turn, moves it centrally, Ubagagu, wide Meza on the wing. Off her right foot, serves it up, and Gottschalk has it. She bobbled for a second, and you wondered if Thornton, who was blazing in, could perhaps make something happen.
And this has been the challenge for Dallas. A beautiful ball delivered in for Sam Meza, but where are the numbers? As you see there, Hannah Davison sort of crashing in, but they just haven't had that same attacking presence that we've seen from them in games leading up to this matchup. It's just been really challenging for them to find any offensive success today.
Weinbrenner. Up the outside channel. Overlapping run, Ubagagu. And she curls that one around.
Great vision from Ubagagu. Celie Strawn just wasn't able to have the pace to finish there.
McNeil. Ten shots for Fort Lauderdale, 5 on target, 3 shots on target for Dallas. Brooks, Thornton shoots, it's in! Allie Thornton off the bench, equalizes. And Dallas right back in this game.
And that's exactly what you want. It's exactly what you need from a substitute in a game where you are trailing 1-0. It's one of the most dangerous deficits in the game for this exact reason, because one goal can change all of the hard work you've been working for if you were Fort Lauderdale. But I love this play. It's been a point of emphasis for Dallas to swing the point of attack. And then it's Thornton floating around in the box. She got left wide open. Why? I'm not sure. She's the leading goal scorer on this Dallas squad. But as we see it here, she was just in the right place, the right time. Caught Gottschalk on her heels there and was able to tuck it away. But to your point, that's exactly what you want out of a substitute. Come in off the bench, provide an impact, and now we are level with plenty of time left to find a game winner in this one from either side.
It's 5 goals for Thornton now on the USL Super League season. So she's right behind Addie McCain for the lead across the league. McCain has 6. Now Fort Lauderdale, who tends to give up late goals. Now this is not as late as some other ones, say the stoppage time goal that they gave up against DC in their last match, but it's got to be deflating. There's way more time than in that DC game to take the lead right back.
But to your point, I think deflating is a great word to describe it. Fort Lauderdale in that first half, they were every bit of the better team. They had the better possession, they had the better offensive chances. But to Coach Pauline McDonald's point that she mentioned to us in the coaching meeting, the margins for error are so small here, and the opportunities to score, if you can capitalize, those moments can come at any minute. And for Dallas, it was a matter of if not when, or when not if it was going to happen for them. They've just been really settling into this second half. I mentioned them being patient in the possession, and they finally get one to pay off.
Well, this certainly changes things now for Fort Lauderdale. So how are they going to adjust now that they've given up that equalizer?
Well, and I think defensively, they dropped so many players back. They were playing so free because they had that 1-0 lead. now you're going to have to start seeing Addie McCain and even Shania Gordon get more involved on the attack. They had a lot of success as well in the first half in those outside channels, really dumping the ball past those wingbacks as they pushed up. So a lot more of that. Really just go back to what they were doing in the first half.
Henderson is getting some attention from the training staff now. It does look like Lucy Shepard, or excuse me, Broussard is getting ready to come in for Dallas. That's Inzi Broussard. Henderson still getting looked at. So Broussard is indeed going to be one of the changes. Comes in for Strawn.
Well, Coach Pauline McDonald made me eat my words earlier when I questioned her taking Sierra Henson out of the game in favor for the goal scorer there. So I'm curious to see again another fun, high-powered substitute coming in Inzi Broussard. In that game against Carolina, she checked in with about 20 minutes or so left in the game. And even in that match, in a game when Dallas was winning, she was such a spark. She brought a lot of energy into the middle of that attacking run for Dallas. So interested to see if she could pick up where she left off.
Thorin. Brian Ubogagu waits on it. Centers now. Moves it towards the left. Lose a defender in the dust and Klein. Meza has some time. Off the spin right into Elton Garcia, our center referee. Weinbrenner. Meza looks up. Taking on Klein. Brian. Weinbrenner. Meza. Two defenders there. It's Klein and Gordon if necessary.
And this is where Dallas Trinity really shines, their ability to hold on to the ball and pick out that final pass.
Here's a chance right in front of net. Gottschalk with the save. And it's Broussard who nearly finishes. And you can feel this momentum shift for Dallas.
And that's the funny thing about football, right, is all it takes is that one moment, that one tiny experience in a game to really change how things look on the field.
Ubogagu, plenty of time to whip out a service, and it bounces past Thornton. Keeps it from rolling out. Thornton. Pass the defender, lifts into the box. Brian heads it home. Oh, it bounces off the woodwork. It looked like it went in there. So close, Brian.
Dallas thought that they had their game winner there. I love the individual effort from Allie Thornton to play this ball in. Gracie Bryan directs it beautifully. And for McKenna Gottschalk, it's very lucky that it goes off of that back post there and trickles out. She did have that big save moments ago as well, too. She's had a really great game today, and so kind of unfortunate that that equalizer just went in. Otherwise, she's been pretty good back in net containing Dallas in the second.
No, it's getting a little scary for Fort Lauderdale. Brian, as close as you can be. Brooks. Hamid. Ubogagu nearly pounces on the pass. Now Meza does on a light one backwards. Meza to her right. Thornton helps out. Broussard trying to chip it over to the back posts and ends up out of play.
And you talked about the momentum shift, right? That momentum is translating into confidence. I talked about Inzi Broussard checking in this game and bringing some energy. It almost feels like the rest of Dallas is really playing to that energy there. They've got more confidence on the ball. Sam Meza does such a good job of keeping it at her feet. It's almost like a magnet with her cleats in the ball, the way she's able to hold on to possession in tight spaces. But you're seeing their game plan and really just their season as a whole unfolding as this game has gone on. A slow start kind of characteristic to what we've seen, but then they settle into the match, they find the equalizer. Now they're looking for the next level, which is finding the game winner.
Gordon. Brian races back defensively to stall the attack. Gordon against Weinbrenner. Trends into the 18, off her left foot, Gordon! Off the crossbar.
Oh, and you saw the frustration of Gordon. She thought she had her first Super League goal. A couple of tremendous strikes we have seen from this Fort Lauderdale attack today. This one just inches from being the separator. And the crossbar. Saving Dallas, disappointing Fort Lauderdale. It's a beautiful strike, though, from a player who has really caused so much trouble on the outside.
Less than 15 minutes to go. Dallas in Fort Lauderdale. Ubogagu, Neza. Those two combining. Weinbrenner. Davison. Hardiman. Plays it long over the top to Meza. And she gets there, is onside as well. Ubogagu, top of the box. Left-footed strike, no. But it's a corner.
It's been a brilliant game for Ubogagu in every sense of the word. We've talked a lot about how she's able to stretch the field both width-wise and vertically. But what you've noticed as the game has gone on, she's kind of found herself floating into the middle of the field and being more of the field marshal where, you know, she's directing the passes and sending them out. And we've seen Sam Meza sort of shift over to the outside. They've kind of switched roles almost in this game, but it's been just as effective.
Ubogagu will take the corner. Middle of the 6, it's headed away by Davison. Just didn't get the right sort of connection on that one. Yeah, but it's a scary thing to think that Meza and Ubogagu feel like they're getting stronger as this game has gone on for Fort Lauderdale, trying to weather this storm.
And they're such different players, too, which is why it's interesting that they're able to interchange so seamlessly in the attacking third. Meza is much more of a possession-dominant player where she likes the ball at her feet. She likes to distribute. Ubogagu likes the ball played into her as she can run onto it, play those balls from the wide channels.
Chance to transition for Fort Lauderdale, or just get out of trouble if nothing else. Addie McCain had to reach for that one, looked uncomfortable upon landing. Neza. Davison. Hamid pounces on that one, and a pile up with Ubogagu. It's gonna be a free kick for Fort Lauderdale.
And I would love to see Fort Lauderdale United really make this set piece count. We really haven't seen them be as active in the second. Their offense has stalled a little bit, and that's partly because they've spent a lot of this half playing defense and containing Dallas as they've warmed up. But
oh, nothing much there for White.
Bit of a wasted opportunity for Fort Lauderdale. I didn't even get to finish that thought.
Davison, White. Hudson, Brooks, Bryan, Ubogagu, Vaca closing in, Meza, overlapping run, Ubogagu, picks up speed, ricochets, here's a chance and it's just wide. Man, Broussard, very close, just a little bit awkward based on the way it skipped to her.
But this is the game plan for Dallas. Ping it in the middle, send it out wide to your wide players, have players crashing in the box, and you're a foot away from having the game winner. And it's frustrating when you're creating those chances. I know Broussard would have loved to see that one go in the back of the net, but you have to be encouraged if you're Coach McDonald, because your team has battled back again from adversity in another match. And now, not only have they battled back, but they're providing that offensive spark in the second.
Yeah, between that and the Bryan opportunity, they've been inches away multiple times now. In these last couple of minutes, Gordon also hit the crossbar, so things are opening up. Gordon off the cross. McCain shoots, she tallies! Addie McCain, the leading scorer across USL Super League, gives Fort Lauderdale the lead.
And soccer can be so cruel in a game where Dallas has controlled much of the momentum as the second half has gone on. All it takes is one opportunity, and Dallas capitalizing here. Shania Gordon has been a menace on the outside, and instead of taking the shot here, I love the decision to take her defender on one-on-one play, a weighted ball in. Hamid involved again on the layoff there, and then Addie McCain doing the rest of the work. It's a difficult finish too, as she gets all of her laces through the driven ball. It's bouncing as well, and yet she has so much control. Davison was right there, but McCain's finish was better.
Well, credit to Fort Lauderdale, because it really looked like we were trending in the direction of Dallas taking the lead in this game. Fort Lauderdale settles down, they get in the box, and they make some magic happen.
And again, I go back to that point from Coach McDonald. She told us, if you think for 1 minute you can let go of your foot on the gas, you've got another thing coming, because there's an opportunity always for either team to win. And you see it there, Tyrone Mears' side just wanting it a little bit more in that moment to find the second goal.
Though McCain, 7 goals this year. Maybe she realized that Thornton was looming, about to tire, and she said, no, I'm going to create some more separation here at the top of the leading scorers across the USL Super League.
And listen, I can attest to that, right? It's been a minute since Addie McCain found the back of the net. We talked about it, her last goal coming in late October. And sometimes that's what it takes when you're at the top of the league for so long. You haven't found that success. All of a sudden, someone is closing in on your record. You got to stand on business for a second and remind everybody why you're the leader of the goal scoring competition at this point of the season.
Yeah, I think she'll take the win over everything else if Fort Lauderdale is able to pull this off. But I think what's so great for Fort Lauderdale is here comes Hamid again off the cross. McCain, pile up, and it's cleared out by Dallas. More so than anything, more so than getting McCain involved, they are building chemistry in the final third, which is something that they've been struggling to find as of late.
And a lot of it has stemmed from the play today of Jasmine Hamid. You know, she had that first opening goal that really set the tone for her team offensively. You saw her there in the second getting the assist, and it's a perfect layup touch there for McCain to get the finish. But Hamid's work ethic today has just been on full display. It seems like even in the moments where the game has been a little bit slow offensively for Fort Lauderdale, she's found ways to get into the mix, create those chances. She's really been the best player on the field today.
Davison. Meza. Some work to do yet again for Dallas. Weinbrenner. Gordon. McCain slides down as Weinbrenner makes her miss.
You could hear shouts from the crowd for Addie McCain's name. She's clearly become a fan favorite here for this Fort Lauderdale squad. And she's easy to root for when she scores goals that way.
Yeah, when you score a hat trick, I think you gain a lot of fans too, which McCain has done this season. McCain skims off her head to Weinbrenner. Well, this is how this game has gone so far. Fort Lauderdale scored in the 2nd minute, then the 81st minute. So Hamid and then McCain. In between that, we saw an equalizing goal from Thornton for Dallas. Meza wants another equalizer, but nobody there to help.
And something to pay attention to as we close in on 90-plus stoppage time here. This is the time of the game when Fort Lauderdale has a tendency to give up those late goals. We showed in the Open how many goals they've conceded this season, and a lot of those have come at this point of the game. So if you're Tyrone Mears, you are telling your players to stay locked in defensively. The offensive chances, if they're there, you capitalize on them, but right now you are focused on keeping this a 3-point game as opposed to a 1-point game or even dropping points in this match.
Yeah, it's just such a big difference when you consider how tight things are standings-wise in Fort Lauderdale. They don't want to drop any farther than they already are. They're in 7th out of 8 teams in USL Super League. And of course, they have a chance to pick up a win, something they haven't done in the last 5 games. Weinbrenner. Hardiman. Hudson.
And as we've continued to talk about the parity of the Super League this season, live table results has Fort Lauderdale sitting in 5th. And remember, this was, to your point, they started in 7th as the game kicked off. And so just picking up those 3 crucial points, you jump from 7th to 5th, and all of a sudden you're 1 spot away going into that spring slate of being in the top 4.
Ubogagu on a corner kick for Dallas. And they bring us level. Broussard through the air off the back of her head. Bryan trying to keep it in the box, unsuccessful. It's booted out by Fort Lauderdale.
And that's exactly the discipline defensively you're going to need for Fort Lauderdale. There's going to be a lot of shots and a lot of chaos coming in the final 4 minutes of regular time plus stoppage. So for Fort Lauderdale, it's going to be
another corner on the way for Dallas. Ubogagu. On the outswinger, headed back into the 18. Gottschalk punches it away. Not totally out of the woods. Ubogagu crashing in. And she falls there after a collision with Knox. It's a goal kick.
Ubogagu looking for a foul on that last play, and she won't get it.
Fort Lauderdale gonna make a whole bunch of subs here. Nia Christopher comes in. Erica Gomes comes in as well. Well, ends up just being 2. But Jasmine Hamid, her day is done. What a day it has been. Started things off with this banger of a goal.
Not many ways you could start better than that. Not only did it set the tone for Fort Lauderdale, but it was beautiful for us and the fans at home to watch too. She's been such an impact player in this one. Then of course the second goal for Fort Lauderdale, the contribution of getting the assist and really setting that up. She is going to be very happy with her performance today.
So McCain's gonna exit as well. The 2 goal scorers for Fort Lauderdale out, as right now the home side just looking to defend and pull off the victory at home. Oh, it is a Dallas throw. Some confusion. No, it's Fort Lauderdale here. Knox. Broussard working quickly. And a foul in the midfield. Meza gets tripped.
And I love Fort Lauderdale recognizing that it was a foul, and you notice how quickly they drop back to set up. Still plenty of time for Dallas to find an equalizer, and we know how capable they are of doing it. We saw it against Lexington just a few weeks ago.
Ubogagu, yet again on another set piece for Dallas. Into the box, and it takes a weird deflection out.
And I believe Brooks is going to be called offsides again on another set piece. It's a beautiful ball delivered in off the left foot of Ubagagu. Brooks just can't redirect it. We did hear a whistle, but a great chance nonetheless for Dallas. Both Brooks and Ubagagu probably wishing that that went a little bit different.
4 minutes of stoppage time. Thornton all the way in the corner. Hudson. Broussard. Tripped up. And has it swiped all the way back to the other end. White. This kills some clock if you are Fort Lauderdale.
And again, just focus on clearing the ball out. You don't need to find an extra goal. Obviously, if the opportunity is there, you take advantage. But right now for Fort Lauderdale, their focus is keeping the ball out of their defensive third.
Henderson. Intercepted. Broussard. Blazing forward, past the defender. Broussard tripped up. Just outside, play on. Ubagagu. And the rest of the team arguing. I'll have to see it again.
And to his point, the referee, Elton Garcia, had a front row seat to this, and you see it there in slow motion. Maybe looks a little bit like a dive. Not much contact coming in terms of the defense. And I mentioned it, referee Garcia right in front of that. He saw it and he said, I saw nothing.
Gordon, Davison getting into it. We saw a card come out. Gordon heading to the bench as she just got a yellow on her way out. Hermansdottir comes in. Thelma Hermansdottir, this is her USL Super League debut. Well, about 2 minutes to go. Served up, Brooks through the air, skims off her head. Ubagagu moves it to her right foot. Denied a shot there by Klein. Klein, head on a swivel, watches it roll. And it's gonna be a throw-in. There's Hermansdottir. Played at FAU, so not too far away from here, but is originally from Iceland.
So cool to see all the different players and where they've come from, where their journeys in professional soccer have taken them. We've seen Iceland, Israel, Turkey, Europe, London, all of the places. It's so special to see.
Coaches too. It's really an international league, USL Super League. Knox slams that one. But it's cleared out for Fort Lauderdale.
Great play by Hannah Davison there.
Less than a minute to go. Battle through the air. Ubagagu. Meza. Davison. Hudson.
Lots
Everybody
of numbers in the box for Dallas.
Ubagagu settles off her right foot, shoots, and she's high.
And that was the chance, and that's the player you want to have the chance. Unfortunately for Ubagagu, she's so left foot dominant that ball falls to her right foot, and she had to make a choice. Do you take another touch and settle it and get it back to your left? She opts to go with it for her right. Unfortunately, doesn't get her body or her ball over the ball, and as a result, it goes over the net.
Ubagagu. Off her left foot, sails over Thornton, captain, off of Knox. And it's still with Dallas in the final third. Meza, just over the crossbar. Well, that's it, the final whistle. A big win for Fort Lauderdale. 2-1 the final. Taking down Dallas. Tyrone Mears has to be happy with how his team performed. It's a first win in 5 games. And Addie McCain with the game winner.
Really from start to finish, Maura, this game belonged to Fort Lauderdale. We saw Dallas sort of pick up steam midway through the second, but Fort Lauderdale was in control literally from the second minute of the game. They settled into their game plan nicely, and they had some great finishes as well, too. Highlight-worthy finishes, especially from that player right there, Jasmine Hamid.
Again, a 2-1 victory, Fort Lauderdale over Dallas. Let's take a look at tonight's Same of the Game presented by Omega XL Sports. Well, Gottschalk had to make a couple of saves, especially when Dallas was making things interesting at the end here.
Yeah, she was just berated with pressure from this strong Dallas attack, and each time she came up bigger and better. And remember, she was coming off of injury in this game. She stepped in for Hannah Hintz, who also was dealing with an injury, but she was huge today and a big reason why Fort Lauderdale is on the winning side of this one.
Well, we are joined by Dallas's Allie Thornton. Allie, you came in off the bench today. What did you see from your team in that second half?
Yeah, I think as a whole, we really showed a desire to get that equalizer. And then after we got the equalizer, I think we were just pushing, trying to get that game-winning goal. Yeah, I think the effort was there. I think we created the chances, and it's disappointing that we couldn't finish them. But I think we fought hard, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, Allie, I was going to say it was a spectacular finish for you, so congratulations for finding the back of the net. But in terms of finding positives out of this game, what are the positives that you take away as that fall season ticks down?
Yeah, like I said, I think we created a lot of really good chances, and I think that's a huge step into getting where we want to go. Yeah, I think we've been on a really good trajectory these last 3 or 4 games, and you know, maybe today wasn't as high quality of a performance that we would have wanted, but I think, yeah, we're still moving forward, we're still building chemistry, and I think we're still moving in the right direction.
Thanks, Allie.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Well, a 1-goal victory for Fort Lauderdale United. And so now they've split the fall series with Dallas. The first time around it was a 1-0 victory for Dallas Trinity. And now here in December, it is a win for Addie McCain and Fort Lauderdale United. What a game it was, and really weathered the storm. We are joined by Addie McCain, scored her 7th goal of the USL Super League season. Addie, what did you see from your team in the second half and the fight that you guys showed to get back into this game?
Yeah, I think, well, we let up a little bit, and that's what we said not to do going out, but I think to fight and come back after giving up the tying goal says a lot about us. Again, that's what we want to be. We've said it all year. It's been a rough couple weeks, but I think for us to be able to show that grit, show that fight, that's who we are, and that's who we want to continue to be.
Addie, you continue to be such a force offensively for your team today. I'm curious, just talk me through your game-winning goal and what you saw on it and how good it felt to see it go in the back of the net.
Yeah, it felt really good. Actually, I feel like I can exhale a little bit. Like I said, it's been a rough few weeks for us offensively as well in getting results, and I think a lot of the attackers, we take that personally, and so this past week we worked a lot on finishing and just getting shots off, and so Jazz kind of laid the ball off, and my thought was just to put it on frame, and so I was glad it hit the back of the net finally.
Yeah, leads me to my next question. Jasmine Hamid had a wonderful game. What's she like to play with? What have you seen from her this season and in this game?
Yeah, no, she was unreal today. I mean, the work ethic, getting in the box, tracking back, defending, that's what we need from her all the time. That's what we need from everyone. That's how we're going to win games. You see all the games are really tight. It's close games, and it takes that extra effort. Jazz definitely put it in today, and the rest of the group did as well. I'm really proud of them.
Thanks, Addie. Congrats.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, a lot to be happy with if you're Tyrone Mears, if you're Fort Lauderdale. It's going to bring us to a break, though. We will break this one down on the other side. Again, a 1-goal victory for Fort Lauderdale United over Dallas Trinity FC here on the Sunday night in Fort Lauderdale. ready to wrap this one up from beyond Bankard Field in Fort Lauderdale. And it's Fort Lauderdale United with the victory over Dallas Trinity FC. This is a lone USL Super League game on the night, and it was a good one. Let's take a look at the highlights from this game presented by Blue Water Books and Shards. Well, it started in the second minute. Right away, things a little dicey for Dallas defensively, and Jasmine Hamid takes advantage.
And you even see her here waiting in the wings. That ball comes straight to her off the defensive miscue, but I said it on the broadcast, I'll say it again. What a banger of a strike from Jasmine Hamid in there. Maddie White had no opportunity to save that. The bend, the buckle, and it set the tone for Fort Lauderdale in that first half.
And it took a while, but finally in the second half, Dallas got in this game. Brooks creates and Thornton finishes.
And that's why you like to have an Allie Thornton coming in off the bench, just providing a little bit different of a look, a spark, and she's the leading goal scorer on the team for a reason as she capitalizes.
That would be her 5th goal of the season. Dallas with some good opportunities. That one off the post.
And as you watch it back and you see the way the results panned out for Dallas in this game, there were a couple of moments where they would just like to have it back. It was great from Gracie Bryan, but wasn't good enough.
This one very close as well from Shania Gordon. Slams it off the crossbar.
And a similar situation, Shania Gordon, who was causing so much havoc on the right side of the field for Fort Lauderdale. You thought you'd see her get her first Super League goal, but again, denied by the post.
And after Dallas really went on a run, you just wondered if they would score and find the game winner. It's actually Fort Lauderdale who does.
And it's exactly how they got the first goal, essentially. That build-up, capitalizing on a mistake. Shania Gordon plays a perfect ball in, and Jasmine Hamid with the layoff there. Addie McCain does the rest, puts power through on her laces. It's a driven ball past. And again, Maddie White just couldn't find the save.
7th goal of the season for Addie McCain. It's another game winner. And it's a much-needed win for Fort Lauderdale. As we take a look at the stats for you, tonight's full-time stats are presented by Beyond Bankard. And things were fairly even in this game. Fort Lauderdale coming up with the win.
And you looking at the possession, Dallas Trinity really settled into that second half. You mentioned it. You thought they would find a way to get the equalizer, but kudos to Fort Lauderdale. They came in with a game plan. They wanted to play strong. They wanted to dominate, and I think they did that throughout this 90 minutes.
It was 3 points for Jasmine Hamid, 3 points for this Fort Lauderdale team. Tonight's performer of the game, no surprise, is Jasmine Hamid with a goal and an assist in this game.
We heard Addie McCain discuss just how dominant she was in this game. Of course, she set the tone with the game winner, but really she was involved on the entire pitch as the game went on. You saw her shifting in and winning her 1v1 battles. She had the game-winning assist to set up Addie McCain's goal as well, but her footprint, her athleticism, and her speed was all over this win for Fort Lauderdale.
Now, performer of the game brought to you by Baptist Health, Hamid and company with 3 points at Beyond Bankard Field. They'll be at home for the rest of the fall schedule, so something to build on for sure. All right, that's going to do it from Haley Sutton. I'm Maura Sheridan. Thanks to our entire crew for working on this game. A 2-1 win for Lauderdale United downs Dallas Trinity FC at Beyond Bankard Field. Thank you so much for tuning in to the USL Super League action. Have a fantastic night, everyone.